Welcome back to the show, everybody. What's going on with the ETFs and what could it really mean to the market? And what about stablecoin legislation? What about custody? What about Ripple partner connections? You won't believe it. It is staggering. And what about a $27 XRP? What about somebody rolling that beautiful intro?
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it is a $1.43 trillion market cap for crypto, off by 0.5% in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin now 36,400 plus. We see Ethereum back under 2,000 at 1941 and change. We see Tether market cap at 87.7 billion plus. Number 5 spot is XRP at 60 cents. What is happening now? Off by 0.7 in the 24-hour, off by 9.6 in the 7-day. I don't like it, and I know you don't either, but let's look at the range of price. We dipped all the way to 58 cents, so I bet you're liking 60 cents is looking better now, though, isn't it? Yeah, it's all about perspectives, ladies and gentlemen, ranging between 58 and 61 cents. I wish I'd have caught it at 58. You're lucky I was sleeping. I'd have back the truck up. Yeah, right here at the Freedom Zone, we are going to be talking, and look, this is serious. And I'll tell you something, you're missing out if you're not joining us in here. You think we're having a real conversation on this channel? We are. But I'm going to tell you, you want the real conversation. You want to come in and join us because today we're going to talk about the real rulers of America, crimes against humanity, and you have got a library now of material that we can't even dream of talking about. And I tell you, the comments that are happening from all of you in there are mind-blowing. This is a conversation that we've been looking to have for years, and now we're finally having it. You can join us at digperspectives.com and just click the Freedom Zone and come on in. That's right. We'll see you inside. Look at this. The link is underneath the video. This here is Michael Shaughnessy here from Grayscale. I'm going to play just a couple clips. I won't play this whole thing, but I want to play the first part of this about the Bitcoin spot ETFs. And I've got some information that I want to share about how to look at some of this should it be approved. Take a listen.
Bitcoin down today, but not out. Our next guest says the recent crypto rally is encouraging, with a 40% move higher since early September. How much more upside is there for the digital coin? Let's bring in Grayscale Investment CEO Michael Sonnenschein. Michael, welcome. Great to have you with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
The premise behind the rise in Bitcoin is that an ETF is going to be approved by the SEC, and all of a sudden everybody's going to want to be in it. There's going to be a lot of buying of Bitcoin, et cetera. Why should we believe that new money will be attracted into Bitcoin once an ETF is approved, as opposed to capital being reallocated within the Bitcoin universe?
It's a great question. You know, today, without having spot Bitcoin ETFs in the market, there is nearly $30 trillion of advised wealth in the U.S. just alone that needs access to crypto, that needs access to Bitcoin, and by and large hasn't had access to it. So the onset of Bitcoin ETFs, spot Bitcoin ETFs, will really open the door to financial advisors, advised wealth, really to have the opportunity to participate in Bitcoin in a way that they really haven't had before.
There you have it right there. Now, that's a key point, and some of you may know this and some of you may not. But think of it. For the first time, financial advisors being able to offer exposure to these products inside of a regulatory framework of the ETF itself, they're not out anything. All they have to do is make sure that it's bought and custodied properly to back the fund itself as it grows, right? Now, let me get to one more spot in here that I do want to play for you, and then we are going to move on. I want you to hear right in this area right here. Here we go.
Wealth market and the interest there. What are you seeing from the institutional market? Are you seeing continued demand, especially given what we just talked about with rates?
I think that the introduction of the spot Bitcoin ETF will allow for institutions to participate as well. What's been interesting about crypto, as opposed to other asset classes that came along before it, it was usually institutions who had access first, and then it eventually trickled its way down to retail.
Boom. There we go. Now, they go on to bring up the ETF for XRP that's not real, or at least that's what we're hearing. I'm so cynical in this market. But this is the point here. For the first time and this doesn't happen often. Now, I won't say the first time, but this does not happen often the moment that we're in. We have the opportunity to front run Wall Street. We have the opportunity to front run the institutions. It takes patience and it takes discipline. Look, do they get approved? Do they not get approved? Maybe they don't. I don't know. That's the risk. But what I do know is, if it does get approved, we have front-run Wall Street. And I don't believe Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs are the only thing to get approved. And speaking of which, just in, $4.5 trillion asset manager Fidelity files for a spot Ethereum ETF. I think we're going to see all kinds of crypto ETFs, and that's how they'll get exposure to the market through it. They already have a framework for regulation for it. Why wouldn't they do it? It's got to be a matter of timing, and I certainly believe that that timing will coincide with some kind of market correction or collapse in the traditional markets, and that's why these financial advisors and institutions want access to it. That's right. I said it out loud. Meanwhile, Ripple is bolstering XRP Ledger as it just announced a new round of funding for innovators building on the XRP Ledger. Come on in. That's what we want to see. A Cambrian explosion of great ideas. Think of this like the internet. Think of this for a moment. You know, we cannot predict when the internet came out, and we were all doing dial-up. You know, you remember how it sounded. We were all so excited. You put your little AOL disk in there. You loaded the platform in, right? But you couldn't talk to somebody on Netscape, right? Really, they were on a different network than you were on. Then it was a race to be on the network that most people were on. You remember all of this, right? We could have never predicted then that Google would be the winner, right? We could have never predicted then that Uber was going to be a thing and decentralize the entire cab industry. Just like I believe that we're going to see the decentralization of finance and money through TradeFi and DeFi. That's where this is going. But we can't yet know who the winners are. Now, I know what I believe, and I'm certainly sure that you got what you believe in. But the only way to give that an opportunity is to invest in the innovators to build on the XRP Ledger. And that's exactly what Ripple is doing, no doubt about it. Meanwhile, what are we witnessing on a geopolitical level? Russia's currency is outperforming the U.S. dollar despite the sanctions. And this is basically just putting the U.S. dollar against the ruble, right? That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about here, the Russian ruble. So it's outperforming the U.S. dollar in strength right now. Now that speaks to the geopolitical issue of the dollar strength. The dollar is the global reserve currency. And look, make no mistake about it. I believe there is going to be a traditional market correction. I believe that these ETFs will provide a flight to quality, as Larry Fink from BlackRock is now saying. But then there's a larger issue, and it's the dollar. Now, this is Jeremy Allaire. And Jeremy Allaire from Circle here talking about the USDC token, the digital dollar. And I want you to think as he's talking about this, well, let him say what he's got to say, and then we'll get to it here. Because, look, stable coins are just as important as custody. You need the on and off ramps, and you're going to need the foundation block of custody. You can't build a healthy market without these two elements, whether you like it or not.
So a digital dollar like USDC can play a really important role in enabling those transaction flows to happen between their ecosystems and the rest of the world. And sort of like when in the early internet we all had our own email systems, and then the internet mail protocols made it possible for us to send emails to each other no matter what system we used. And so dollar stablecoins like USDC can be that kind of connective settlement mechanism to enable different fintech apps to talk to each other and settle transactions between each other.
Now think of that.
Singapore.
Think of that for a moment, okay? So now you're talking about this is your bridge to be interoperable with all these different networks by allowing USDC to serve as a retail digital dollar. So let's look at this for a moment. Everyone says the U.S. is behind. Everyone knows that there is a geopolitical threat of dollar strength and de-dollarization happening around the world, especially in the BRICS coalition. Everyone says the U.S. is behind. We need to get crypto regs. We need stablecoin regs. All this is true. But imagine for a moment that USDC rises as the one that is chosen for prudential regulation. Who's behind now? Imagine USD Tether getting a rug pull because it's been operating outside the guise of regulation. Who's behind now? Come on in. This is what we need to be thinking like. And this right here is Adrian Cherkani, who is quickly moving up on my badass list. This guy's something here. And what he's talking about, and I can't play the music here, but basically custody is the enabler. Custody is the necessary brick so that as a regulated institution, you can build on top of it and create a service that your clients will appreciate, and regulators too. It starts with custody. We've been saying this since PolySign popped up. I've talked to Jack McDonald about this. You can't have a healthy market until you have the foundational brick to build it all on, which is in fact custody. And we know PolySign's qualified custodian too. Now imagine USDC stablecoin being selected or chosen to be under prudential regulation and serving as a true retail-facing U.S. digital dollar and connecting the market in a way. It's already on a Stellar network, right? It's got massive market cap. It's working great. But imagine it actually being brought under prudential regulation, so it's then held by the puppet masters through the government, the Treasury, the Fed, and so on and so forth. The OCC and all the rest of it. Then you have custody. Then you have a true retail-facing United States digital dollar. And if it's held under prudential regulation and to a constitutional standard, we have the privacy that we should have without the fear of censorship like we witness every day on platforms like you're looking at right here and hearing me on. Think of it for a moment. Who's behind now? SWIFT says now in its third year, the G20 roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments continues to be an important driver towards fast and frictionless global transactions. Susan Delgado, SWIFT's head of consumer and small medium enterprise payment strategy, takes a look at how G20's targets of speed, transparency, cost, and access can be met through public and private collaborations and a commitment of industry-wide standards. Everyone's doing it. Meanwhile, we're being made to feel in the retail space like it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Look at the deep connections listed here by Ashley Prosper. And look at this too. Ashley's got 13,100 plus followers. Why is it not 1.3 million? Ashley Prosper does incredible research and contributions on social media here. Give her a follow if you haven't done it already. Ripple is connected to Medico, Uphold, SBI, Amazon, R3, BNY, Fed, BIS, EEC, Modular, Neum, Bank of England, HSBC, BlackRock, Onifric, World Economic Forum, Rocket Fuel, Energy Web Token, University of Toronto, XBot, Lemonway, Volante, Currency Cloud. Do I got to keep going? Kuwaiti House Finance House, Digital Euro Association, Digital Pound Association, Digital Dollar Project, Morgan State University, Standard Chartered, ISDA, Bhutan Central Bank, National Bank of Egypt, and the list goes on. And everybody's saying we won't see a new all-time high again. And what do all three of these charts have in common when we're looking at XRP? First of all, before we go here, I'll tell you what I see here. I see a long list, a very long list. And this is just some of the partnerships. This is just to name a few. And she does mean a few. So, when you look at this long list, you know what I see? I see the opportunity for network effects. Just like for the U.S. dollar to kick in at some point. And it will kick in at some point. But it'll be when they're ready and not when we're ready. Because we've been ready for a long time. And it looks like the XRP chart's getting ready. What do all three of these charts have in common, says XRP drops? All indications are that a breakout is imminent. The triangle has been stretching the XRP chart like a spring since 2018. The takeoff will unleash enormous power. And shout out to all those TA people. Dark Defender as well, who wasn't in there. But Egg Rag Crypto goes on to say the X factor, ladies and gentlemen, if we get above the X factor line right here, which is right around floating around just under the all-time high for XRP, well, then we better watch out, because the X factor, if we get above that and we stay above it, it looks like we got a damn good chance to see that $27 XRP we hear about so much, because the 1.618 is a very key fib line when it comes to XRP charts, they say. And we will be watching it closely. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I hope I'll see you in the Freedom Zone.